Virtual is here to stay. And more we have virtual teams and we have to appear on virtual team meetings. Today I want to explore how do we appear more confident in virtual team meetings. Let's explore 6 ways that can really help us appear more confident when we are in a virtual meeting. I promise you that each one of them is something that you can do today, and each one of them will help you appear more confident. So 6 areas that we're going to look at to help you appear more confident in virtual teams. Area number 1 is an energy check-in. Now, what I mean by this is that each of us comes online or each of us goes into a meeting with a certain level of energy. And I really think that we have to be cognizant about that level of energy and ask ourselves, is it appropriate or is it what I want to bring to the meeting? You know, sometimes we're very distracted and then all of a sudden we realize we have a meeting and we kind of jump on that meeting. And then for the first 2 or 3 minutes, we're totally distracted. We're trying to get things in order and our level of energy is just not good and we look distracted. And a person who looks at us says, oh my God, they're just all over the place. So if we're trying to look confident, then take a few minutes before you log into a meeting and to really ask yourself, what's my energy level? What does my energy level need to be? Do I need to reset anything? And therefore, when you come to the meeting, you've really thought about that energy and really re-energized yourself so that you're turning up with the correct amount of energy. Point number 2 is your posture. Now, if there's a phenomenon that I've noticed, and maybe you've noticed this as well, is that virtual meetings tend to be a little more casual. You know, whenever the pandemic happened and we were first on online meetings, I noticed that people would wear some shirts and ties and their jackets. And then about 2 months later, the ties were missing. And then about 3 months later, the jackets came off. And I've even been in meetings now where people were basically just out of their pajamas, just slightly. And so one of the issues that this is that this relaxed atmosphere can also impact our posture. I've seen people slouching on their chairs. I've seen people on meetings with their feet up on the desk, believe it or not. And all of that impacts our perceived level of confidence. And so as you're in a meeting, in a team meeting, and you want to project confidence, really think long and hard about your posture. Is your posture erect? Are you attentive? Are you looking at people in the eye? All of that will give a message and will help people understand how confident you are or not. I developed an exercise called the 7-second reset. It's a wonderful way just in 7 seconds to really explore where we're at in that moment and make an adjustment to our posture so that we can appear more confident. I will provide a link to that at the end of the video. Area number 3 is clothing. You see, we have entered this virtual reality now with our teams, and of course, it's become more relaxed, and there's a lot of wonderful things to say about that can truly help us kind of break some of the more formal tones. However, it can also go too far. We can be also too relaxed. Now, clothing is amazing, because depending on the clothes we wear, clothing can also set a mood. And so therefore, what I invite you to consider is, how do you want to show up in this team meeting? Because say you're lacking confidence and you want to have more confidence, perhaps maybe it's a meeting when you're a little nervous and that you have to say something that perhaps people might not agree with or people might be upset with. One of the things to be really important is, what are you going to wear? Because that as well will impact your confidence. And so depending on what mood you want to set and what mood you want to feel, you may want to wear something that makes you feel a little more powerful, that makes you feel confident. Because the research is very clear, our mood is absolutely impacted by the clothes that we wear. Area number 4 is eye contact. Now, this is one of the most difficult areas when it comes to virtual meetings with teams. Because the temptation is, of course, to look directly at your screen and the people in front of you. And for the vast majority of people, that is not where their webcam is. And so the problem is that when we do that, we fail to truly make eye contact with the people that we are addressing. And so therefore, one of the habits that we have to try and develop is the habit of looking into the webcam when we are speaking. Because when we look into the webcam when we are speaking, we know that others will see that we are facing them directly and making eye contact with them. Why is that important? Well, eye contact is incredibly important. It's incredibly important for displaying our confidence. It's incredibly important for showing that we are listening to another person. And all of that translates into virtual team meetings as well. So make sure, especially when you are talking, that you are keeping focus with the webcam and making sure that you're making eye contact. Area number 5 is setup. You know, it's really important for us to put a little thought into the setup before we appear virtually online. And by that I mean 2 things specifically. One is lighting and the other is background. You know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to appear virtually from home, but proper lighting can truly help us, first of all, appear more confident. It doesn't have to be an expensive process. One good light in front of us can truly change our appearance and help us be more confident. The other as well is the background. You know, there was this phase that Zoom's had recently of having virtual backgrounds, and you know, for some of them they work, but most do not, and really they're a distraction. What can really be helpful is to put a little thought into what's behind us. Again, it doesn't have to be a rearranging of the house, but perhaps just a few well-thought objects behind us so that we can appear more professional. Because if we appear more professional, then we will look more confident to others. And the 6th area that we need to pay attention to is, of course, with our voice. The voice is the instrument, of course, that we use during our meetings. And if we want to have authenticity and confidence in our voice, then there are 2 elements that really go into that. Number 1 is our posture. You see, if we have bad posture when we're at a meeting, what's happening is that we're not creating enough space so that the air within us can reverberate and we can have a richer voice. The second one is breath. You know, so often we're not breathing properly. We're breathing up here, almost within the upper part of our bodies. And really true breathing is diaphragmatic breathing. It's breathing from our belly. And so the more we breathe properly and the more space through proper posture that we create for that breath, and the better the quality of the voice, then the more confident that we appear to others. Today we've explored 6 different ways that you can appear more confident in your virtual teams. I invite you to perhaps think of one you want to introduce, and also to provide some comments below if you have any questions about appearing confident in virtual meetings, or let me know how you got on by introducing some of the things that I spoke about. I also mentioned during one of the points the 7-second reset. If you go to my website, irvinenugent.com, there is a tab there called Free Resources, and you will find the 7-second reset there. If you've enjoyed this episode, I invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. I produce new content every Wednesday around areas of leadership and emotional intelligence. And if you've enjoyed this episode, I invite you to click on the one above, which explores how do you build trust on virtual teams.